Imagine a storm raging across a desolate landscape, the sky cracked open with lightning, wind howling like a wounded beast. In the chaos, a single oak tree stands bent but unbroken, its roots clawing deep into the earth. Now picture a journal lying open in the mud, its pages fluttering wildly. On one page there's a child's drawing, a heart with wings, smudged by rain and time. This is the INFJ, a soul born with wings too tender for a world this harsh. They enter life as old spirits, feeling every joy and sorrow like a raw nerve. They're the ones who cry over strangers' pain, who stay up at night scribbling dreams of saving the world, who see through lies as easily as glass. But here's the truth no one tells them. The world doesn't reward gentle hearts. It breaks them. It burns them. It takes that childlike hope and drowns it in betrayal, exhaustion, and cynicism. Yet from those ashes rises something fiercer, a Sigma INFJ. This isn't a personality type, it's a rebellion. It's what happens when life strikes a match to an INFJ's innocence, and instead of shrinking from the flame, they let it forge them into something unbreakable. A Sigma INFJ doesn't just survive the storm, they become the storm. Quiet, relentless, and untamed. This is the story of how the rarest souls on earth aren't just born, they're built. 1. The INFJ blueprint, nature's most complex personality. INFJs are like rare diamonds formed under pressure. From birth, they're wired differently. Imagine a child who feels everything deeply, joy, pain, the emotions of strangers. They're the kids who cry when others are bullied, who stay up at night worrying about climate change, or who write poetry about saving the world. This isn't drama, it's how their brains work. The Myers-Briggs system calls them advocates because they're natural helpers, but it's more than that. INFJs have a built-in radar for spotting lies, sensing hidden motives, and predicting how people will act. They're the friends who know you're upset before you do. But here's the catch. Their sensitivity is both a superpower and a curse. They want to fix everyone's problems, but the world doesn't always want fixing. Teachers might call them too intense, peers might label them weird, and bosses might misunderstand their quiet confidence. INFJs grow up feeling like aliens, always observing, always analyzing, but rarely fitting in. This loneliness isn't by choice. It's written into their DNA. They're born to see the world in colors others can't even name. 2. The crucible of experience, where INFJs break or evolve. Life isn't gentle with INFJs. Their hearts are big, but the world is harsh. Picture an INFJ who spends years volunteering, only to realize the system they're fighting is rigged. Or one who pours their soul into a relationship only to be cheated on. These aren't just bad days, they're soul-crushing moments that force INFJs to ask, why do I keep getting hurt? Some INFJs collapse under this weight. They become bitter, shut down, or lose faith in humanity. But others? They rise. They take the pain and use it like fuel. Think of a tree that grows stronger after a storm. Its roots dig deeper, its branches grow tougher. Sigma INFJs are like that. They don't stop caring, they learn to care smarter. They start setting boundaries, saying no to energy vampires, and walking away from fights that don't matter. It's not about becoming cold, it's about surviving in a world that doesn't understand them. 3. The birth of the Sigma INFJ, rebels with a cause. Sigma INFJs aren't born, they're built. Imagine an INFJ who's been betrayed one too many times. Maybe they trusted a friend who stabbed them in the back, or they worked tirelessly for a cause that failed. Instead of giving up, they start asking, what if I stop playing by the rules? This is where the Sigma mindset kicks in. Classic INFJs want everyone to get along, but Sigma INFJs focus on protecting their peace. They stop trying to please people and start prioritizing their mission. For example, a Sigma INFJ might quit a high-paying job to start a nonprofit, even if everyone calls them crazy. Or they might cut off family members who drain their energy. They're done being doormats. They've become warriors with a quiet, unshakable focus. 4. The Sigma mindset, strategy over sympathy. Sigma INFJs haven't lost their hearts. They've just added brains to the mix. They still feel deeply, but they've learned to think like chess players. Let's say a Sigma walks into a messy family argument. Instead of jumping in to mediate like a classic INFJ, they'll step back, read the room, and figure out who's really causing the drama. Then they'll drop one sharp comment that defuses the whole situation. They've mastered the art of emotional judo, using their intuition to outmaneuver problems. At work, they might spot a toxic coworker's agenda before anyone else and quietly block their moves. In friendships, they'll sense when someone's lying and cut ties without a scene. Sigma INFJs don't waste time on battles they can't win. They save their energy for what matters: their goals, their values, and the few people who've earned their trust. 5. The lone wolf paradox: solitude as strength. Sigma INFJs don't fear being alone, they thrive in it. While others panic at the idea of a Friday night solo, Sigmas recharge by spending time with their thoughts. They might spend hours reading, hiking, or working on a secret project. But don't call them loners. They're choosing solitude, not running from it. This love of alone time comes from years of being misunderstood. As kids, they were told they're too sensitive or too serious. Now they've stopped apologizing for it. A Sigma INFJ would rather spend an hour journaling than at a party full of small talk. They've built a rich inner world where they're free to dream, plan, and heal. And when they do step into the spotlight, they shine because they're not desperate for approval anymore. 6. The Sigma INFJ's villain arc. When idealism meets reality, every Sigma INFJ has a turning point, a moment that changes them forever. Maybe they worked 80-hour weeks to save a failing project, only to be blamed when it crashed. Or they trusted a partner who used their secrets against them. These moments are like emotional earthquakes, shaking their faith in people. But instead of breaking, Sigma INFJs rebuild. They take that pain and turn it into power. For instance, a Sigma who was burned by a corrupt boss might start their own business, vowing to treat employees fairly. Another might channel their heartbreak into mentoring others, saying, "I'll make sure no one feels as alone as I did." They don't forget the hurt. They use it as a roadmap to avoid future traps. 7. The art of selective vulnerability. Sigma INFJs don't hide their feelings, they just guard them fiercely. Imagine a vault where they keep their deepest emotions. They'll share a piece with someone who's earned it, like a close friend or a mentee, but they won't hand out the key to just anyone. For example, a Sigma might open up about their struggles with anxiety to inspire a teenager, but they'll shut down gossip about their personal life at work. They've learned that vulnerability is a gift, not a guarantee. They'll cry during a sad movie, but you'll never see them beg for attention. Their strength comes from knowing when to soften and when to stay guarded. 8. Sigma INFJs versus social hierarchies. Rewriting the rules? Most people care about fitting in, Sigma INFJs care about staying true. They don't chase promotions, fancy titles, or Instagram fame. Instead, they build lives that match their values. Think of a Sigma who leaves a corporate job to teach in a remote village, or one who adopts rescue animals instead of having kids. They're rebels but quiet ones. You won't see them shouting about their choices. They're too busy living them. While others fight for a seat at the table, Sigma INFJs build their own table and only invite people who respect their rules. They're not here to follow trends. They're here to create a legacy that matters. 9. The Sigma INFJ's toolkit. Habits that forge resilience. Becoming a Sigma doesn't happen overnight. It takes daily work. Here's how they do it. Energy audits. Sigmas track where their time and emotions go. If a friend always leaves them drained, they'll see them less. If social media stresses them out, they'll delete the apps. A predictive thinking. They play mental what-if games. What if this project fails? What if that friend lies? By planning for disasters, they stay calm when chaos hits. A shadow work. They face their flaws head-on. If they notice they're being too controlling, they'll journal about it. If they're people-pleasing, they'll practice saying no. Purpose-driven goals. Every action ties into a bigger mission. A Sigma might volunteer at a shelter not just to help, but to learn how to start their own someday. 10. The price of becoming a Sigma INFJ. What you gain and lose. Turning into a Sigma isn't all sunshine. You gain confidence, clarity, and freedom, but lose the comfort of blending in. Old friends might say, "You've changed," or "Why are you so distant?" Family might guilt-trip them for setting boundaries, but the trade-off is worth it. Sigma INFJs attract people who love them for who they are, not who they pretend to be. They find friends who respect their alone time, partners who value their depth, and communities that share their goals. They're done shrinking to make others comfortable. Now they stand tall, even if it means standing alone. Conclusion: the Sigma INFJ's legacy. So why are INFJs born but Sigma INFJs made? Because life doesn't hand out armor, you have to forge it yourself. Sigma INFJs are alchemists, turning pain into wisdom, sensitivity into strength, and idealism into action. They're proof that even the kindest souls can learn to survive and thrive in a world that doesn't always deserve them. If you meet a Sigma INFJ, don't mistake their quiet for weakness. That calm confidence is earned. Every scar, every late-night doubt, every betrayal they've overcome, it's all in there. They've walked through fire to become who they are, and they're just getting started.